Hi everyone. Today I am going to can up in some largemouth quart jars red potatoes. I have 15 pounds of these red potatoes and everything in our house goes bad quickly because it stays so warm. I live in a tiny home. It's 382 square feet. So it gets warm pretty quickly in this little house, or cabin is what I usually call it. But you have to skin your potatoes before you can. And if you don't, you have a possibility of the bacteria building up in your jars because the skins hold a lot of bacteria on them. So they do suggest that you peel them first. And that's what I'm doing now, is peeling these 15 pounds of red potatoes. Follow along with me and I'll show you how I'm going to can them. After getting them peeled, you dice them how you want them. And I'm just going to, I'm making mine in thick slices, but not the whole slices, like half slices like this. That's how I want my potatoes. Then you drop them in really cold water and you'll let them sit in the water for 30 minutes before you start canning them up. You will let them sit for 30 minutes. You will rinse this out, let them drain, and then pack them into your jars. Now it's time to put the potatoes in the jar. And it's all just room temp. I'm not doing anything special here. I'm going to use my filtered water and fill it up to an inch head space. Now it's time to debubble it. Last thing you want is air in there, because air increases spoilage. Sometimes your water level will drop a little bit. When you do this process, you would just add it a little bit more when you got to that point. I don't have to add any more water to them. All the potatoes are covered and they're still at an inch head space, so I'm doing okay. I like using a little bit of white vinegar when I do this. Some people don't, but that's fine. Some people use just water, but if you're using like a really oily product going into your jars, the vinegar will remove that oil a lot better than just water. So you wipe your rims down. Then you put on, I have 4 jars. I'm not affiliate for 4 jars, but I've noticed, see, look at the seal on those. The seal is really good. So I've been using them and it's been doing a lot better now. Place those on. Put your rings on. Finger tight. Five pounds potatoes gave me 4 quart jars to fill. That's how much it took for 4 quarts, is 5 pounds. I put the potatoes in there up just below the line and filled it up to the line with water, so that way the water has covered the potatoes. Now I'm going to get my Nesco canner out and get it started with my 4 quarts. My Nesco canner takes 2 quarts or 8 cups of water. The jars in. Jars in, the lid down, locked. I make sure that this is on exhaust. When the E10 countdown is done, that's your exhaust mode. You will then put it on airtight. This is the second day since I canned these potatoes. Life has just been really hectic, so I'm going to try to finish this video. I diced my potatoes 2 different ways. One way I showed you all, and that was in the large slices, you know, the thick slices. The second way that I didn't show you all was in the diced. I cubed them up in little dices. I thought, you know, I really like potatoes this way, and that's why I did it this way. I wind up getting 11 quarts and 1 pint from those 15 pounds of potatoes. I did not add salt to mine. None of these have salt in it, but you can add salt to it if you want. It's a half teaspoon of salt for a pint and a full teaspoon of salt for a quart. With that being said, watch what kind of salt you use. If you use table salt, you will cloud your jars really bad. I did that way back. I didn't have any canning salt or sea salt, and I thought, well, I'm just going to try this. Worst decision I ever made. It clouded my food, the jar, and it just looked really nasty. We didn't eat it. That's honest. And I like to never got that out of my jar, that cloudiness. So make sure you use canning salt or sea salt. I also did the raw pack method, as you've seen. That is not a USDA guideline way of canning. It's considered rebel canning. I like to try to follow the USDA guidelines a lot, but they have never tested raw pack canning potatoes. They've never tested a lot of things that people are doing nowadays, and that's why I don't do a lot of those other things. I'm a little bit leery. I like to have scientific proof that it's not hurting anybody, or I know that somebody has been doing it for generations and it has been good for their family. I will follow that. I do my research. Then I make my decision on that. The way you are supposed to can potatoes is, here, I'll read it to you real quick. That way you have 2 options. The USDA guideline way of doing it is to clean your potatoes like I did and peel them. Peelings is a no-no. So you peel them, you rinse them, you drain them, you put them in a stock pot, and you cover the potatoes with water in a large stock pot and boil for 10 minutes. You take the whole potatoes that are small and put those in there, and then you take the large potatoes and you just quarter them. That's what they suggest when you boil them for 10 minutes. You hot pack your potatoes into hot jars, leaving 1-inch headspace. Add a half teaspoon of salt to each pint jar, a teaspoon of salt to each quart jar if desired. Ladle boiling water over potatoes, leaving 1-inch headspace. Remove air bubbles, your 2-piece caps, adjust those. Process pints 35 minutes, quarts 40 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure in your pressure canner. That is the way you're supposed to do it, through our trusty books, the ball books. That's what they say to do it. And when I did the research, the USDA also suggests that you hot pack because they don't know they've never tested the raw pack method. That's what it is. They've never tested it. So that is at your own risk. of canning the way that I did, but I also gave you another way of doing it that you don't have to worry about. It has been tested. After I canned all my potatoes, I did wash my jars. You see how clean they are? I wash them, make sure that, I used water that was slightly cooler than my jar, and I made sure everything was sealed and everything. So it goes clean. It's a clean jar on my shelf instead of something that's got a lot of residue on it. Or residue, however you say it. Oh my goodness, me and my words. But this saves me from spoiling potatoes in my pantry. And we don't go through that many potatoes, to be honest. So I have a tendency of potatoes going bad on me very quickly in this tiny home. It's so hot. They spoil very quickly. This preserves them in a way that, okay, I've got these for I got these for a couple years. I don't know. Some people have stored them for up to 5 years is last I heard, if it's stored properly. I hope this helps somebody out there. If it does, leave a comment, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. It just helps push it out a little bit more. Thank you so much for stopping by. God bless you all, and I'll see you again.